No, here we are. Beautiful. Thank you so much. So I was informed that the seminar that is happening here was in the on the theme of leadership, and boy, do I have a thing or two to say about that. The thing is, just to mark the territory, is that the first thing that comes to mind when I'm thinking about leadership is the fact that the study was conducted among a few very different tribes of monkeys and chimpanzees to figure out what makes super alpha male within those tribes. And they all came basically to the same conclusion, that that charismatic personality in the mammal was defined by his experience of safety during his formative period. So in other words, that baby had the mother who was creating a nurturing, supportive, protective environment for that young male to explore, to try to be the way he wanted to be. And I have a competition. Yeah. So let's wait for this song to be taken somewhere else. What a beautiful song! Yeah. Bye. He waved goodbye to me. I won. All right, you won. Okay, so looking back at this aspect of our personality, that yes, the child who had this safety zone while his or her body was being built, that's the factor. But what to do if we didn't have that moment? What are we supposed to do now? So I'll talk about that later, but first I want to also bring your attention to a huge body of research that shows that severe medical interventions during birth, severe birth trauma, does something to a child in a very direct way, that for the child it's very difficult to come back to the sense of self afterwards. So that's where my theme of working with the birth trauma, with recoding of the limbic imprint, that's where it comes in handy when we discuss leadership. Because if we look at the state of civilization as it is right now, we don't really have good role models in leadership that would be sane, compassionate, the leadership, the kind we actually need at this point. And why is that? It's because leadership is something that is a very, in the hierarchy of challenges, leadership is probably one in top 5, because power, money has a very easy way of corrupting. Because when there is no reference point to how to handle a large power or a large access to money, it's very easy to lose yourself, to lose the original intention of doing good, and just get caught in the game. When the power is for the sake of power, when the money is for the sake of money. The thing is, leadership by itself doesn't really have the meaning. It's what we do with that ability or inability to become and step up and show up for ourselves first in this life. It's a very big subject because, for example, in the last 25 years of the research in the field of prenatal psychology, there is absolutely obvious conclusion that is printed in many different articles in many different ways and from different angles how researchers would come up to this conclusion. But basically, the conclusion is that our limbic imprint defines the way we perceive world, the way we relate to the world and to ourselves. And it's not only the birth itself that is affecting the way we can perceive world. It's all 9 months of pregnancy from the moment of conception that has this most direct effect on the lenses through which we will see the world. It's sort of like if I will tweak the basic settings on this projector, you will not be able to see how much energy I put into colors and transitions, and you will see a very dark picture or very distorted image. So all I will need to do is tweak the settings on the machine. So no matter what movie will be shown, it will be shown distorted. And that has to do with our distortion of the deep sense of self, that what was the intention of my spirit that brought me into this planet at this time to embody, to manifest itself in the three-dimensional flesh that the body is. What was it that I had in mind? And if I was traumatized at birth, I will not remember, because there is this mechanism of dissociation that every mammal possesses. We have in our chemistry lab in the brain this little mechanism of checking out. When something really terrible is happening to us, I'm sure you all know that victims of some terrible assaults have this ability absolutely not remember what happened. It's just that moment when the predator's fangs are closing on the prey's neck. There goes in this moment of complete disconnection. So when a child is being severely subjected to some kind of sensory overload the child's nervous system cannot handle, there goes that moment of dissociation that our brain is automatically, mercifully, is doing, so we don't remember what happened to us. Because when we embody, we don't really expect something like that. We think that we're coming into a loving environment. And that's the thing, that limbic brain has the ability to automatically absorb and memorize every single sensation that we experience from the moment of conception through gestation and the first few years of life. Not just the first month or first year. Evidence show that things that happened to us when we were 3, when we were 5, our nervous system remembers them and has a tendency of recapitulating them, sort of running in circles. We keep recreating similar situations. And even in the beginning, it looks like we're stepping into some completely different situation. It somehow turns around and becomes the same. Wow, how did this happen? I already did this a few times, and here I am again. That mechanism has a fancy name in modern psychology. It's called limbic attractor. It's just the way we attract the same kind of people, the same kind of situations into our life. And again, the actual mechanism of limbic imprint is nature's merciful way of letting the young of the species know how to behave as they grow up. Because a kitten or a puppy or a bear, they don't go to school to read books. How to behave like a bear, what to eat, what not to eat. Right? So they learn by simply being within the field of the adults of the species. So if you give kittens to be raised by otters, they would not know that they're not supposed to swim. They will be just a happy little swimming kittens. And that's the mechanism that humans were using for thousands of years to treat mammals. Elephants, horses, camels. How do you make an elephant to become a war animal? You know, if you take an adult elephant, he will just run away. You will not be able to make that elephant stay on the front line and do what the elephant is told to do, right? So the only way to raise the soldier is to introduce them very early in their life to the fear, to pain, to scarcity, to manipulation, and then they perceive it as norm.